Have you ever felt a strange paradox? The feeling that even when everything on the outside is calm, a relentless storm is raging within you. You can be in the quietest room, yet your mind is the loudest place on earth. This is the silent battle of our time. Not the one fought on fields or in boardrooms, but the one fought in the 6 inches of space between your ears. It's a battle for your peace. And many of us are losing. We are told to build successful lives, to accumulate, to achieve. But we were never taught how to build the most important structure of all, a fortress for the mind. A sanctuary impervious to the chaos of the world. Today we change that. We will not just talk about peace, we will begin to forge it. We will learn to build that fortress brick by brick. And the first step in any construction is to understand the terrain and to recognize the force you are building against. Let us give our opponent a name. We call it chaos. But this chaos is not a distant, abstract enemy. It is a calculated invasion, and it has breached our walls. It is the buzz in your pocket, a vibration that promises connection but so often delivers distraction. It is the endless stream of opinions from people you've never met, shaping your thoughts before you've had a chance to form your own. It is the weight of yesterday's regrets and the crushing anxiety of tomorrow's to-do list, both demanding your attention right now. Its invasion is subtle. It does not knock down your front door. It seeps through the cracks. It enters through the windows you left open, the moments of mindless scrolling, the news you consume without question, the worries you entertain like honored guests. You feel it as a low-grade hum of anxiety, a feeling of being constantly behind, of never quite catching up. You feel it as mental exhaustion, even on a day when you have not moved your body. Why? Because your mind has been running a marathon chased by thoughts you did not choose to think. You might believe this is your fault, that you are weak for feeling overwhelmed. This is the first lie the chaos tells you. It is not a personal failure, it is a strategic invasion targeting an untrained defense. Your mind in its natural untrained state is an open fortress. Its gates are wide, welcoming every passing thought, every external demand, every flicker of fear, as if they all have a right to be there. They do not blister. To understand why our fortress gates are so often left open, we don't need to look to ancient philosophy alone, but to modern science. Neuroscientists have discovered a network in the brain that gives us a crucial clue. It's called the default mode network, or DMN. Think of it like this. When you are intensely focused on a task, reading a map, solving a puzzle, listening deeply to someone, other parts of your brain are active. But what happens the moment you stop focusing? The moment you are driving on a familiar road, or waiting in line for coffee, the DMN takes over. It is the brain's autopilot setting. And what does this autopilot do? Groundbreaking research, pioneered by scientists like Dr. Marcus Ratley at the Washington University School of Medicine in the early 2000s, revealed that the DMN is the hub of self-referential thought. It's where our mind goes to wander. It replays past arguments, worries about future events, obsesses over what others think of us, and constructs our sense of self. In essence, the DMN is the source of our inner monologue. It is the voice of the chaos when left unchecked. It is designed to think, to ruminate, to connect past, present, and future. In a survival context, this was useful. But in our modern world of overstimulation, an overactive DMN is like leaving the engine of your car running all night. It doesn't take you anywhere, but it burns your fuel, wears down your engine, and fills the garage with fumes. It creates a constant state of internal noise that we mistake for reality. So, you see, this vulnerability to chaos is not a flaw in your character. It is a feature of your brilliant, complex mind that is simply running on its default untrained software. The first step to blinding your mind is not to destroy this network, but to learn how to consciously shift out of default mode. To become the driver, not the passenger. The chaos outside is loud, but the chaos inside is what truly steals your peace. It's the unnoticed commentary, the constant judgment, the inner critic that runs on the rails of this default mode network. It has been the silent ruler of your inner world for far too long. But its reign can end. It ends the moment you decide to stop being a passive observer of your own thoughts. It ends the moment you decide to become the gatekeeper. The moment you learn to stand at the threshold of your mind and consciously choose what is allowed to enter. And that is exactly what we will begin to learn. First, we must see the enemy for what it is. Not an inseparable part of you, but an invasive force running on a predictable, understandable system. Look at, see it clearly. Acknowledge its presence without judgment. The act of pure observation is the first glimmer of light in the darkness. It is the first sign that the master of the fortress is finally waking up. So we have named this chaos. We have seen that its power comes not from its own strength, but from our mind's untrained default settings. But what is the true cost of letting this inner noise run your life? The price is far higher than a few moments of distraction. The true price is your future. Time, you see, is not just the ticking of a clock. It is the currency of life. Every second is a seed from which your future can grow. When you live on autopilot, lost in the fog of the default mode network, you are not planting those seeds consciously. You are letting the winds of old habits and random anxieties scatter them for you. And so, your future becomes not a garden you have designed, but a field of weeds you did not choose to grow. How does this happen? First, autopilot steals your presence. The future is not built tomorrow. It is forged in the furnace of this very moment. Your every conscious action, your every intentional word, your every focused thought right now is a hammer blow shaping what is to come. When your mind is elsewhere, stuck in a past regret or a future worry, you are a ghost in your own life. The hammer lies on the ground and the future remains undodged, defaulting to the shape of your past. Second, it steals your opportunity. Opportunity does not announce itself with trumpets. It is a quiet whisper. It is the subtle cue in a partner's voice that signals a need for connection. It is the fleeting idea that flashes in your mind during a quiet walk. It is the chance encounter that could change your path. Autopilot creates deafness and blindness to these whispers. Your mind is too full of its own noise to notice the signal. And so opportunities pass by, unseen, unheard, and unclaimed. And finally, it steals your growth. True growth happens at the edge of your comfort zone. It demands that you face challenges with awareness and courage. Autopilot, however, hates discomfort. Its primary directive is to seek the familiar, the easy, the known. It will steer you away from the difficult conversation, the challenging project, the necessary risk. It keeps you looping in familiar patterns, ensuring that the person you are tomorrow is almost identical to the person you were yesterday. Your inner fortress never gains strength because its walls are never intentionally tested. This is the silent robbery. You are not losing money or possessions. You are losing the raw material of your life. You are losing the potential of who you could become, one distracted, unconscious moment at a time. The greatest tragedy is not death but a life half-lived, because the mind was too busy to show up for it. Hearing this, a part of you may feel a sense of despair. But I ask you to look closer. Within that feeling there is a flicker of something else. A resonance. A recognition. That feeling of recognition is the beginning of the awakening. It is the first sign that you are ready to break free. The awakening is not a lightning strike from the heavens. It is not a dramatic, cinematic moment. It is far more subtle and far more powerful. The first sign is the simple act of noticing. It is that moment in the middle of a meeting when you suddenly realize you have not heard a single word for the last 5 minutes because you were mentally rehearsing a difficult conversation for tomorrow. It is that moment when you are driving and you come to realizing you don't remember the last 3 miles of the journey. Your body was there, but your mind was gone. It is that moment when you are with someone you love and you catch yourself replaying an old hurt, feeling the anger rise in your chest, and you realize you are reacting to a ghost from the past, not the person in front of you. In that instant of noticing, that split second where you see your own mind at work, do not judge yourself. Do not get frustrated. That is the old pattern. Instead, I want you to do something radical. I want you to silently congratulate yourself, because that moment of awareness is the first victory. The moment you notice you were asleep is the first moment you are truly awake. It is the first time you have separated yourself from your thoughts and have become the observer of your thoughts. You have created a tiny sliver of space between the you that is aware and the chaos that is happening. That space is where all your power lies. You might think, I've been stuck in these patterns for decades. How can a single moment of noticing change anything? This is where we must once again appreciate the profound architecture of our own minds. The patterns of chaos have worn deep grooves in your brain, it's true. But your brain is not made of stone. It is made of living, adaptable matter. This capacity for change has a name, neuroplasticity. For centuries, science believed the adult brain was fixed, but pioneers in neuroscience have proven this wrong. They've shown that the brain constantly reorganizes itself based on our experiences, thoughts, and actions. The principle is elegantly simple, often summarized by a phrase from Canadian psychologist Donald Hebb: neurons that fire together, wire together. Imagine your mind is a dense, wild forest. Your habitual, chaotic thoughts are a wide, well-trodden path. It's easy to walk down it. It requires no effort. Your mind naturally follows this path of least resistance. Now, that moment of noticing we just spoke of, that is the act of stopping and intentionally choosing to step off that wide path and forge a new one. The first step is difficult. You have to push aside branches and clear away undergrowth. This new path, the path of conscious response, of choosing peace, is barely visible at first. But here is the magic of neuroplasticity. Every single time you choose that new path, every time you notice the chaos and intentionally choose to pause instead of react, you are clearing that new trail. You are treading it down, making it a little wider, a little clearer. Simultaneously, the old wide path of automatic reaction through disuse slowly begins to be reclaimed by the forest. It becomes overgrown, less tempting, less powerful. You are not destroying the old path. You are simply building a better one and choosing to walk it again and again. This is not just a hopeful metaphor. It is the biological reality of how change occurs in your brain. You are at this very moment the architect of your own neural pathways. Every conscious choice to observe rather than react is a real physical act of construction. You are literally rewiring your mind for peace. So, do not be discouraged by how deep the old grooves are. Be empowered by the knowledge that you hold the tools to carve new ones. The awakening begins with one step onto a new path. You now understand the cost of autopilot. You now recognize the flicker of awakening in the simple act of noticing. And you know that your brain is not a fixed stone, but a living garden, capable of being reshaped through the power of neuroplasticity. This is beautiful knowledge. But knowledge without action is merely a seed left on the shelf. To carve those new neural pathways, to build a mind that is a fortress of peace, you need a tool that is simple enough to use in the heat of battle, yet powerful enough to stop the chaos in its tracks. This tool is what I call the sacred pause. Some may call it the 3-second breath. The name is not important, the practice is everything. It is the master key that unlocks the space between stimulus and response, the space where your freedom lives. The sacred pause is not about sitting on a cushion for an hour. It is a 3-second intervention you can deploy anywhere, anytime, in the midst of any storm. It consists of 3 simple yet profound steps. Step 1, acknowledge. The moment you feel it, the surge of anger, the wave of anxiety, the sting of a critical comment, the compulsive urge to grab your phone, your first step is simply to acknowledge its presence. Not to fight it, not to judge it, not to run from it. Simply to name it, silently in your mind. There is anger. This is the feeling of being defensive. The urge to escape is here. This act of naming creates an immediate separation. You are no longer drowning in the emotion. You are the observer on the riverbank, watching it flow by. Preek, you are not the storm, you are the sky that holds the storm. This single act of acknowledging stops the process of unconscious identification. It is the first assertion of your power. Step 2, breathe. This is the physical anchor that brings you back from the chaotic world of thought into the solid reality of your body. Take one single conscious, deep breath, not a shallow gasp from your chest, but a deliberate breath from your diaphragm. Breathe in slowly, through your nose for a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Feel your belly expand and breathe out slowly through your mouth or nose for a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. This is not just about relaxation. This is a direct biological command to your entire nervous system. To understand the power of this single breath, we need to speak of a critical piece of your internal wiring, the vagus nerve. Think of the vagus nerve as the great wandering communicator of your body. It is the longest cranial nerve, a superhighway of information connecting your brain to your heart, your lungs, and your gut. Most importantly, it is the primary engine of your parasympathetic nervous system, the system responsible for calming you down, for resting and digesting. When chaos strikes, your fight or flight system floods you with stress hormones. Your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes shallow. You are on high alert. However, the simple act of taking a deep, slow, diaphragmatic breath, the very breath we just practiced, stimulates the vagus nerve. This stimulation sends a powerful signal directly back to your brain that says the immediate threat has passed. You are safe. You can stand down. In his groundbreaking polyvagal theory, Dr. Stephen Porges has extensively detailed how this system works, showing that we can consciously influence our state of mind by regulating our breath. So that 3-second breath is not wishful thinking. It is a biological off switch for your body's alarm system. You are manually overriding the chaos and creating a physiological state of calm from which you can make a wise choice. Step 3. Inquire or choose. In the space of clarity created by that single breath, you now have a choice. Before there was only the stimulus and the automatic, conditioned reaction. Now there is a gap. In this gap you can ask a simple question. Does this reaction serve me? What is the most skillful way to respond? What would my highest self do right now? Sometimes you won't have an answer. And that is perfectly fine, because the third step can almost simply be to choose. You can choose to say nothing. You can choose to walk away. You can choose to let the thought go without grabbing onto it. See, the victory is not in finding the perfect response. The victory is in realizing you have the freedom to choose your response. Let's make this real. Imagine you receive a critical email from your boss. The autopilot reaction is instant. Your heart pounds, your face gets hot, you feel defensive, and you immediately start typing an angry, justifying reply. Now, let's use the pause. You feel the sting of the email. Step 1. Acknowledge. There is defensiveness. There is anger. Step 2. Breathe. You lean back. You take one slow 3-second breath. In and out. Step 3. Choose. In that moment of calm, you realize that an angry reply will only escalate the situation. You choose to get up, walk around for a minute, and reply later from a place of clarity, not reaction. The entire outcome has changed. Imagine a family member says something that pushes your old buttons. Autopilot, you snap back with a hurtful comment, and the rest of the day is ruined. The pause. Acknowledge. That hurt. I am feeling misunderstood. Freddy. One deep breath. Inquire. Will lashing out bring me closer to this person or push them further away? You choose to respond calmly or not at all. The cycle is broken. This is the practice. This is how you forge the shield. Not by avoiding the chaos, but by meeting it with this sacred pause, again and again. Every time you do it, you are walking down that new neural path. You are thickening the walls of your fortress. You are not hoping for peace. You are actively, biologically, and spiritually creating it, one breath at a time. You now hold the tool, the sacred pause. Simple key, yet it has the power to unlock the shackles of a lifetime of conditioning. But a tool is only as good as the hands that wield it. Having a hammer does not make you a carpenter. Using it day after day does. This final chapter is about moving from the act of pausing to the art of living. It is about how we take this single conscious action and weave it into the very fabric of our being, transforming our mind from a battlefield into a fortress of unshakable peace. The goal is not to spend the rest of your life consciously fighting off chaos. That would be exhausting. That would be just another war. The true aim is to practice the pause so consistently that peace becomes your new default setting. It is to make the path of conscious response so wide and well-trodden that your mind naturally walks it without effort. How is this done? Through the power of accumulation, the compound effect. The single sacred pause might feel insignificant. A single choice to breathe instead of reacting may seem like a small victory. But do not underestimate its power. Each pause is a brick. Each conscious breath is the mortar that binds it. The first day you lay one brick, the next another. Soon you have a small wall. In a month, you have a foundation. In a year, you have built a fortress. The chaos will still come. The storms of life will still rage. The winds will still beat against your walls. But they will no longer shatter you. They will no longer find the cracks to seep through. Pre-break, you will feel the wind. You will hear the thunder, but you will remain secure within your center, the master of your inner domain. And here we must correct a common misunderstanding. Living as a fortress does not mean becoming cold, distant, or emotionless. It does not mean building walls around your heart. In fact, it is the exact opposite. A person with a fragile center cannot afford to be truly open with the world. They cannot handle criticism. They cannot sit with another person's pain. They cannot love freely, because every interaction is a potential threat. Their walls are brittle defenses born of fear, but a person with a strong inner fortress, a stable and peaceful core, that person can afford to open the great gates of their heart. They can be more compassionate, more present, more loving, because the chaos of the world no longer threatens their existence. They can listen to criticism without crumbling, because their self-worth is not up for debate. They can sit with another suffering without being consumed by it, because they have a place of peace to return to. True strength is not rigidity. It is this resilience. It is having a center so profoundly peaceful that you can engage with the fullness of life, its beauty and its pain, with an open heart. This is the ultimate freedom. We began this journey together in the heart of a paradox, the silent inner storm. We named the chaos. We understood its power came from our own autopilot, and I saw how it silently robbed us of our future. We felt the first flicker of awakening in the act of noticing. We learned the profound truth of neuroplasticity, that you are the architect of your own mind. And you were given a simple, powerful tool, the 3-second sacred pause, a tool to reclaim your power, one breath at a time. The path is now clear. The knowledge has been shared. The tools have been placed in your hands. The rest of this journey does not belong to me. It belongs to you. The power to change your entire future does not lie in some grand 5-year plan or a dramatic life overhaul. It lies in the next 3 seconds. It lies in the very next moment that you feel the pull of your old conditioning, the surge of anger, the wave of fear, the sting of resentment. That moment is your training ground. That moment is the chisel in your hand. That moment is where your future is decided. The question is no longer what do I do? The question is what will I choose? Will you walk the old wide path of reaction? Or will you, just this once, take one step down the new path of conscious choice? Your journey of 1,000 miles does not begin tomorrow. It begins right now with that single step. I have a challenge for you, or rather an invitation, an experiment. The next time you feel that trigger, and it may be in the next hour or the next 10 minutes, I invite you to try the sacred pause. Just once. Acknowledge the feeling. Take one deep breath. And notice the space that opens up. After you do, I am genuinely curious to know what you discovered in that space. The comment section below is not just a place for feedback. Let's make it our global training ground. A place for shared victories. Tell us your story of that one pause. What was the trigger? What did you choose to do differently in that moment of freedom? Your small story of choosing peace might just be the spark of inspiration someone else needs to read today to finally believe that they can do it too. Forge your peace. Protect your center. Build your fortress. One breath at a time. The power has always been yours. Now go and claim it.